Today I'm making a video I teased in my kitchen tour a few months ago. Hazelnut cinnamon shortbread, veganized. The ingredients are flour, butter, ground hazelnuts, chopped hazelnuts, a whole tablespoon of cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. This cookie dough can be achieved with a fork in your hands, but I'm going to take a shortcut today and use the kitchen machine. First thing is to exchange the knife attachment for the dough blades. Put the powdered sugar and cinnamon in the machine. Cut the butter into pieces. This is my last resort. Turn the machine on and run it until you get a fluffy buttercream kind of a thing. Add the hazelnuts. That was barely visible, let's do that again. Add the hazelnuts, both chopped and ground. And work again until the mass looks kind of like the outside of Ferrero Rocher. Now all that's left is to work in the flour. Sift it and try not to spill quite as much as I did. Turning on the machine turns it into a snow globe, which is very pleasing and seasonal. The dough does not seem to want to come together. Much too dry, but not to worry. Just add a few spoonfuls of water, as much as you need, but as little as possible. As soon as the dough forms, turn off the machine, or the cookies will lose their light and flaky quality. If you're working the dough with a fork or your hands, overworking really is not a worry, since your biceps will probably start protesting way before that. Once the dough has formed, wrap it in some baking paper and put it in the fridge. Best would be to leave it in the fridge overnight. It makes the dough much easier to work later. But if you don't have the time, a few hours will do. To roll out the cookies, you need more baking paper and a rolling pin, or a wine bottle, or anything cylindrical. Get the dough out of the fridge and roll it between two sheets of baking paper until the dough is about half a centimeter thick. Then grab some cookie cutters or a small glass and cut out cookies. Keep a bowl of water handy. If the dough sticks to the cookie cutters, dunk them in cold water for a second. Transfer the cookies on a baking paper covered cookie sheet. They won't get much bigger in the oven, so you can set them quite close. Squish the leftover dough into a ball again and roll it out to make more cookies. As I'm rolling out the dough for the second time, I noticed it has warmed a little since it came out of the fridge and is not as easy to handle as during the first lot. Fridge time really is important with these cookies. You might even consider putting the dough in the fridge again for an hour or so. Bake the cookies in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius for 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how thick your cookies are and how dark you like them. While the first lot bakes, make more cookies out of the remaining dough. The rounds always leave so much left over, so I'll do some diamond shapes. And anything that's left over after that will become thumbprint cookies. If I had some chocolate to hand, I'd fill the indent with some chocolate glaze, but alas. I'll put these in the oven once the first lot comes out. Now to make the powdered sugared patterns. Get a piece of paper, preferably square. Fold it diagonally into a triangle, then in half for a smaller triangle, then again, and finally half again to get something like this. Now get some scissors and cut away pieces. My scissors are pretty dull, so all I'll manage are some triangle cutouts. But you can look for paper snowflake cutting tutorials online and get fancy with it. I also made a small one with a post-it note that I only folded in half twice, so the options are endless. For best results, the paper should lie flat, so I'll iron it under the hot cookie sheet for a few seconds. That did the trick. Take the cookies off the sheet and dust them with powdered sugar immediately. The heat from the cookie will very slightly melt the sugar and it'll stick better. Then get creative with your paper cutouts. Once cool, transfer the cookies onto a plate and eat within a week or two. If you were so distracted by your powdered sugar designs that you forgot the second lot of cookies in the oven and they burned ever so slightly around the edges, just cover it up with powdered sugar and no one will ever know. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe?